in 2009, you decided that it was time to go international.
Yeah,
But then, as well, you mentioned that you, at some point down the line, decided actually much later that you were not going to continue to
doing this.
focus so much outside of
Yeah.
Beirut. Yes. What was the thinking for that? Why did you change the emphasis? Why did you do that? Because everyone always thinks bigger is better, and you didn't think that.
Actually, there's something that was very important. The way we work is quite complicated. Like to have the final product, it goes through so many stages, and there's so many problems that could go wrong, and anything can go wrong during these stages. But when we started to export a lot, we started to realize that we are not a company that could actually mass produce, and our items are special. Each one is different. We have so many SKUs. Um, we couldn't. We started like we were all over the world. We were selling at Matches.com. We were selling at Net-a-Porter. We were selling at Colette at that time. We were selling at shops in Japan, and like really, I had 50 points of sale at a point. But we were actually, it was exhausting for me because every 6 months I had to present a collection that was completely different from the previous collection. It was exhausting to do all these samples and be there in like after you're completely depleted because you did a new collection. You have to go and stand and present the collection. At that time, يعني in 2010, also my sister joined me, and we looked into the system. My sister Malak, her name is Malak.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we started to realize that it's exhausting, and it doesn't pay off. Like, okay, it's brand building. I used to remember I would wake up and look at my Instagram, and there was influencers that I never knew wearing our bags. And it was really satisfying in terms of ego, if you want, but it was exhausting. It was exhausting, and it didn't make sense. No, our product was special. It was special, and if
Yes.
I wanted to reduce the steps and make it will become like any other product, and I wanted to stay special. And
Yeah.
at that time when Malak started working with me, we also looked into what we were doing, yeah, our lives, how we would like to live our lives, how we would like to, and we wanted to be happy. And I wanted to have an international brand, but at the same time, it was very important to me for me not to be always on an airplane, opening shops and not doing the things I like to do.
I find it very refreshing, Sarah, that you made this decision, because most people are always chasing big, 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 opening new markets. That this is always the forward momentum. It's become a doctrine in its own right. And people feel that they have to be big, 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 and constantly be moving forward.
Also, being a woman, a working woman, and when your work is doing so well, it's very destabilizing because you want to give attention to your family and you want to, like, you're all over the place. So it was also a decision for me
I want
to.
to talk to you about that. Your older son Malik, you found out in 2005 that he was autistic, and I'd like you to talk to us about this, because it's a massive. There's much more awareness about autism, but it's still underdiagnosed, maybe not known as well. But obviously, this was a major part of what you were dealing with.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about how you coped with that.
At first, my optimism, I'm so optimistic. At first, I thought that it's something that developmental that he will overcome with time. And I think this idea helped me a lot because it wasn't like a death sentence. It was like, no, it's going to get better, it's going to get better, and so on. But it was very tough on the family and on me and on my work, yani on everything. It was very tough. When I look back at it, it also, now I realize that sometimes I think I also buried myself in work because I wanted to like switch off from home and just do something I love and forget about. It was quite tough because I had to do like a school at home. I had to do homeschooling. I had to take Malik every 3 months to London because this is a time where there were no Zooms yet. Every time you had to do a meeting, you had to do it on a like face-to-face meeting. So I used to go to London, have an educational program with me, train three therapists on his program, and then work on the program in Beirut and so on. It was really hard.
Presumably, because of your home situation, wanting to have that balance became all the more essential. And I mean, now it becomes very clear to me why the international element couldn't go on. You had to be present. You wanted to
Yes,
be
yes.
available.
And at a point, I thought of how my life would be if I was like this global brand and how my life would be. I would be on the plane nonstop. I would be opening shops. I would be doing stuff that I don't want to do. Like I love to design and create. I
Yeah.
love to sit with these women and discuss what we go like the collections we're working on. I love to like I love the creative part of what I do and I love it a lot. I didn't want to stop doing it. I also realized that, and this is something I realized later on when after the economical crisis and our money got stuck in the bank, you don't need much in life. Yani, when you work too hard and you have all this money in the bank that you never use, maybe, or I don't know. I was not eager to make more money. I was more eager to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a balanced and a life I would love to live.
We know that 2019, with what was happening in Beirut, was also a major turning point, I think, for your lives, for your business. And then COVID, and obviously after that, the bombing that happened in the port in Beirut. Tell me a little bit about what you learned from those experiences, how it impacted your business and you as well.
Actually, it was very first came the Thawra, and then the economical collapse, and then our money got stuck in the bank. So everything was step by step, but it was degrading by the week. I learned that I have a very good support system. I have a very good team I work with, and a team I could really rely on because we all took like a stand that we're going through bad times, so we need to gear up and do something about it. Um, it was very hard. Really, it was. Yeah, just remembering when we had this lira versus dollar versus devaluation versus like I needed a mathematician with me every time I needed to calculate a cost of something. It was really, really hard. But nothing could top يعني, the explosion because the explosion happened very close to us and it destroyed my atelier, it destroyed my shop, it destroyed my house. يعني, at all levels, I was like, I woke up and then I was like, I know. And then, especially for somebody like I identify a lot with the brand. Although I didn't call it Sarah Beydoun, it's called Sarah's bag. But like I'm so fused with the brand that when I realized that I have nothing to do, I can't do anything. I was like, oh my God, uh, shall I continue? Shall I stop? Does it make sense? What I'm doing, I'm creating handbags. I know I'm helping, but
You started to question everything.
everything. The next morning after the explosion, I had a TV come and shoot shoot an interview with me in the garden, and the garden was like full of glass, crushed glass, like everything was damaged. Everything. There was this moment when they came and took a video of me in the garden, and they like when they started rolling, I said to myself, I wouldn't cry. Okay, although I was like completely shattered. And the moment they
Yeah,
started,
yeah.
they started rolling, I started crying, and the video went viral. I had like shares everywhere, and people would start calling me, telling me that how important my work was, and how I was like, they wouldn't see Lebanon without me, and so on. And this was really a turning point because I felt there was this community backing me up. I felt what I was doing was not
Yeah.
just handbags. It had, I always knew that it had the social impact and so on, but just feeling how people reacted to that video that went viral was amazing. And this is when I decided, you know what, this is the point where I'm needed the most. If I leave now, you know, it wouldn't be possible.
Absolutely. But also the fact that you turned your back on that international path. You wanted to remain local, so this was even more reason to keep going. Really, I mean, when you think about it.
But I need to tell you, I did turn my back on the international path, but we were selling internationally via our own channels, يعني via our online shop, via our own channel. We did pop-ups and so on. It was not like a major turn, a complete turn, but
Yes,
it was more an international presence according to our own rules, if you want, according to what fits us best.
you were doing it on your terms.
Exactly. So that explosion also meant this is where I decide that Taimur has to leave the country. Although I stayed here, I sent him to a school in Jordan, and so it was also very destabilizing for me. Like
Yes,
the whole situation. Yeah, and 2020 was a very tough year on
very
everything, and
difficult.
very difficult. And then I decided to, you know what, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to try to pick up all the pieces and see what to do. But things went right, and we got a lot of help. And very, very luckily, we had this contact with Chloe that also uh, opened up a very important collaboration for us.
I want you to think back and look at your career, at what you've achieved, and if someone was to say to you, "What is your legacy?" What would you say?
I would love to be remembered as somebody who empowered and impacted women. Um, the fact that when you train women and you give them a skill, and the what they do with the skill, and the way they change, and how they also would train other women on working. Like, I like this positive ripple effect that Sarah's back creates, and I would like to be remembered for this while doing nice stuff. Like, I'm very happy. I want us to be remembered as, I want Sarah's bag to be remembered as a design company, but as a social enterprise first, and then as a design company.
I love the fact that you had this idea for your dissertation or when you were in college, and it's taken you through your entire career. I just find that really inspiring that you had this one idea very early on, and it allowed you to develop your company, but also give back. I mean, there are so many aspects to this that are wonderful, but I love the fact that it was that one thing 20-25 years ago that you did that you're still relying on, I think that's a lovely story.
I need to tell you, I did this, but I do it every day. So every day we have an exercise of, even when we create, we have to think of all the teams that work with us. What are their craft? What in each collection we need to include these craft and so on. So I know it's the idea I got 23 years ago, but it's an idea that I keep on working on. So the human side of Sarah's bag is very important, and it's something that we actually work on. So we keep,
Of course.
so we continue, yeah, so we keep it.
That's wonderful, Sarah.
We're very human centric in the way I'm, as a person, very human. Yani, I have this. I've always was very sensitive. Sensitive to people and very empathetic and so on. But I like that it's something that it's like a fil conducteur within my life, and something I'm very proud of.